Hi, this is Craig Ballantyne, and welcome to the 10 Golden Handcuffs holding back good and even great entrepreneurs from becoming millionaires. This is the Early to Rise radio show, and I'm going to show you how you can escape these golden handcuffs and get rich. Now, I did this presentation down in Miami at our mastermind. Our next event is January 9th and 10th in Irvine, California. This is where we bring together 50 business owners who are scaling to multi-millions, 7, 8, 9 figures, who have the same business problems as you. And if you want to be in the room with me, my team of coaches, and these entrepreneurs and go to the next level in life so you can escape these golden handcuffs and get off Lonely Entrepreneur Island, then send me a message at craig@craigballantyne.com. I would love to see you there. And you can also drop a comment down below that says mastermind. Now let's jump into what you're going to learn today. First, there's going to be 2 quotes that are going to change your life. Then we're going to break down those 10 golden handcuffs that hold back good entrepreneurs. I'm going to show you the exact steps to go from good to great, how great entrepreneurs still suffer, including a story about one of my friends, Bedros Keuilian, and what I helped him through. And then finally, the secret that unlocks the unstoppable mindset. So let's jump into this. The weaknesses of the good entrepreneur are great. Let me say that again. The weaknesses of the good entrepreneur are great. There's a lot of them. There's at least 10 weaknesses of the good entrepreneur holding you back. And I think that one of the most important things to understand is that good entrepreneurs, I describe them as lost warriors. And you're probably going to resonate with this. Lost warriors are people that are willing to work. You have a great work ethic, but you just don't have the clarity and you don't know what to do next. And because you don't know what to do next, you're like a lost warrior who is on a deserted island and who knows that there is a treasure chest full of gold on that island, but they have no idea where it is. And so they run off here and there and up and down mountains, and they just go 24/7 hardcore, but they just burn out their energy because they don't know where it is. Now imagine if you had someone who is a mediocre work ethic, but you actually gave them the treasure map. They would find that treasure faster than the lost warrior. And so the lost warrior, you might feel like one because you are willing to work, you want the treasure, but you don't know where the treasure is. You don't have clarity on the blueprint, the steps to get there, and that's what's holding you back. And we want to give you that today because discipline is not a problem, and even structure is not too much of a problem, but without clarity, that really holds you back. So I don't want you to be a lost warrior because when you're a lost warrior, this is an analogy I'm going to bring up a lot, is that your brain's CPU is full. It's operating at 100%. And I use this analogy a lot because I remember I bought a laptop in either 1998 or 2000. I think it was 98. And man, it must have been like 4 inches thick and 20 pounds. And every once in a while, I would open up a couple of tabs on that and I'd get this alert that said CPU 100%. And it couldn't do anything. And that's the way that most entrepreneurs' brains are. They have so many things running through their head. You know, they're that lost warrior. They're trying 19 different things. They're doing 17 different social medias. They are told to listen to 14 different podcasts, and they're doing all of these things. Plus, they have their crazy morning routine that's 2 hours long. All of those things I highly recommend that you do not do. And their CPU is full. Your brain is full, and it's very reactive, and it can't be proactive. It can't create the vision for the business. It can't identify opportunities because it's full, death by 1,000 cuts. And I remember getting, the CPU 100% on my computer, and it was just basically dead. I had to restart it. And this presentation here is going to restart you. So let's go through the 10 golden handcuffs. And the first golden handcuff that is holding you back, and I'm definitely using a lot of your CPU, is that many good entrepreneurs, what stops them from becoming great is that they're panic button pushers. So a panic button pusher is the type of person who, when something goes bad, is going to hit the panic button. And I remember years ago, let me backtrack for a second. So you may have seen me walking around with an 11 out of 10 t-shirt or 11 out of 10 hats. And the reason why we have an 11 out of 10 theme in our business is that because over the years of coaching thousands of entrepreneurs, I've discovered there's 3 different kinds of mindsets. First, the regular entrepreneur, like me, I'm either a 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, or a 9 out of 10. So bad week, I'm 7 out of 10. Good week, I'm 9 out of 10. It's never perfect, but it's never too bad. Very steady. So that's quite a few successful entrepreneurs, the majority of successful entrepreneurs. Then there is the unsuccessful entrepreneur who, when they get a refund or a team member quits or the air conditioning breaks down in the office or the gym that they own, they hit the panic button. And all of a sudden, life is a 1 out of 10 for just a minor inconvenience. And what we find is that if you're a panic button pusher who thinks that the world is ending, it's a 1 out of 10 because an employee quit, you don't have the resilience to handle an actual bad week, right? We're just running off a very crazy hurricane season. Imagine a team member quit, you're a 1 out of 10. Well, what happens when the hurricane hits? It floods your town, it floods your home, it floods your business. All your employees can't get to work. Some of them quit because they have to take care of their families and rebuild their houses. Like, where do you go from 1 out of 10 because somebody quit? And now you're going to be like a minus 100 out of 10. And then you're going to hit the panic button so hard that you're going to become what we call next is a fatalistic failure. So you cannot be a panic button pusher. Now, the flip side is the third type of entrepreneur after the, steady Betties is what I am, then the panic button pushers is there's the 11 out of 10 person. The person whose mindset is that no matter how bad it gets, 11 out of 10 is their baseline. Like that's the lowest they can go. And I have a lot of clients, a guy named Marcus Martinez, who I coached to get more discipline. He ended up getting remarried to his ex-wife. I mean, that's hardly ever happens. But every time he would send a weekly update and I'd ask him, scale 1 to 10, how was your week? He would give 11 out of 10 or 15 out of 10, 21 out of 10, 25 out of 10. In fact, if it was below 15, I was worried about the guy. If it was below a 15 out of 10. And I realized, I need to have an 11 out of 10 attitude. It's actually better than a 7, 8, or a 9 being a steady Betty, because the 11 out of 10 attitude became what we call grateful persistence. We're grateful for the opportunity to persist through troubles. Because if you didn't have the opportunity, it means you're dead. And, no one who's dead is going to give you an 11 out of 10. That's for sure. So switch your mindset from being a panic button pusher to somebody who sees panic and problems as puzzles. That's all they are. Everything that comes into your life is just a puzzle to solve. It's not a problem to panic about. And if you're an entrepreneur, you absolutely cannot panic and ride the emotional roller coaster and become a fatalistic failure, because if you do, you will not have a lot of time in the game and you'll be out soon. And you'll never get past the sticking point where you go from $100,000 to $1 million in revenue and income. You must be able to go through it. And when everything is a puzzle, everything becomes figure-outable. This is a book by Marie Forleo, and it's a great title. Everything is figure-outable. Everything is figure-outable. And she has good programs. And, my wife, Michelle, has been in her B school and all that sort of stuff. This title of this book, you need to read the book. It's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Everything is figure-outable. 11 out of 10, grateful persistence. Here's Daniel Woodrum, the head coach in our business, with his coffee. He's always got a Starbucks coffee, and he's got an 11 out of 10 hat. He's an 11 out of 10 all the time because he and I own gyms together. And of course, in Charleston, South Carolina. And of course, once a year, the air conditioning would go out. And he didn't see that as, oh my God, it's a 1 out of 10 week. It's 11 out of 10. I'm going to go and fix it and make our people happy. And that's the attitude you have to do. Now, if you've been around the Craig Ballantyne Early to Rise world, you know this, but do your team members know this? Do they know this? Do your clients and customers know this? This is a great message that you can pass on to them. I want to do a quick aside here. So in 2017, I believe, the Super Bowl taught us a powerful lesson. Probably the Atlanta Falcons taught us one of the greatest personal development lessons of all time. And the greatest personal development lesson of all time is never play not to lose. If you play not to lose, you are guaranteed to lose. And now the Patriots, so let me give you a bit of backstory. So I was actually in just outside of Santiago, Chile, on a blueberry farm, believe it or not, watching this football game. And I didn't watch all of it because, it's too late for me to stay up and watch a full Super Bowl. But I did eat 4 pints of blueberries that day instead of pizza. They were unbelievable blueberries. Anyways, my friend owns a giant blueberry farm down in Chile, and I was down there seeing him. And I go to bed when it was like 17-3, right? The Falcons are ripping them apart. And at halftime of the Super Bowl, it's 28-3. And in no world would you expect anybody, not even the Patriots, to come back from 28-3 down. But the Patriots, of course, are not panic button pushers. They're not fatalistic failures. And of course, they thought, hey, everything's figure-outable, especially with Tom Brady on the team. The Falcons, on the other hand, they start playing not to lose. And sure enough, they lose. And so you need to be just like the Patriots, that when the chips are down, if you're an entrepreneur, you cannot let your team members see you sweat. You cannot see them, even though you mentally might be hitting the panic button, you can't hit the panic button in front of them, because that's how you come from behind and win because you will win if you stay persistent. And that's the key. So thank you, Atlanta Falcons and Matt Ryan, for teaching us never to play, not to lose. That is the worst thing you can do. So bleeding into the second golden handcuff is becoming a fatalistic failure. Now, I have a picture of a silhouette with a question mark. And I bring this up because I know a guy that once went to prison for a couple years, like federal prison, because he had a cocaine problem, and I guess he sold cocaine, or he had like a large enough amount of cocaine on him when he got arrested that he went to a federal prison, not just like the clink, that we used to say when I grew up in Stratford and somebody got drunk and went to the drunk tank, they went to the clink. No, this guy went to a federal prison. Today, he makes over $20 million a year as, he's an influencer, business coach, he runs a lot of businesses, he's a great salesperson, made a mistake in his life, but he didn't hit the failure button. Now, I do not recommend going to federal prison as your business strategy. That's definitely not what I recommend. But if you do find yourself in a federal prison or the clink, I highly recommend you pull out my 90-day blueprint planner and plan, for getting back on track, because that's what you must do. Whether you're in jail or whether your team member quits or whether there's a hurricane or whatever, you cannot be a fatalistic failure. It cannot be the end of the world. If everything is wrong and it's the end of the world, and that's what happens when something bad goes wrong, you do not have the resilience to go to the next level. You're golden handcuffed by your mindset to forever being at a low level. And if you're stuck with this, Gavin McHale, our mindset coach at Early to Rise, has a ton of resources on this. In fact, nobody hires us for mindset coaching. And it's tough, to get people excited about doing some sessions with Gavin at first, but eventually we fix their delegation problems, we fix their sales problems, and we give them the blueprint. But sometimes people aren't executing on it, and they admit that it's a mindset problem, and they go to Gavin and he does miracle work on them. And so if you need that, you need us, and we can help you, because the one thing that you don't want to do after you don't want to hit the panic button, and you don't want to be fatalistic in your failures, and you cannot ride the emotional roller coaster. That's next. So handcuff number 3 is putting yourself through the ringer and riding emotional roller coaster. And right now we're looking at this little poster of a day in the life as an entrepreneur, and it's ups and downs. I'm excited. Oh, this is hard. It's working. I messed up. Okay. That's a beginner entrepreneur's day, because yes, every single entrepreneur will have its ups and downs. Even, Jesse, it's Sarah Blakely, the power billionaire couple, they have ups and downs in their businesses still to this day. And I believe they own part of the Atlanta Hawks. And I'm pretty sure that, like the Falcons, they teach you a lot of lessons about what not to do. And so, every time they lose, there's a down in their day, but they're pretty steady, right? Oh yeah, they lost. Okay, listen, we're going to win the next one. Whereas the beginner entrepreneur is like, oh my God, I lost. Oh, life is hard. And then, oh my God, we won. Let's plan the parade. That's the emotional roller coaster. So yes, you're going to have ups and downs as an entrepreneur. But if you 10x your ups and 10x your downs because you're riding the emotional roller coaster and putting yourself through an emotional ringer, the chemicals alone that your brain and the neurochemicals that you release when you do that to yourself, when you get too high and when you get too low because of the way that your mind operates, you just put yourself through the ringer and you end up exhausted. You really do need to be a steady Betty. Got a refund? Okay. All right, deal with the refund, make the customer happy, the ex-customer happy, and let's move on to getting a new customer who's going to be really happy to work with us. Oh my gosh, we just closed an amazing deal. I just got a word from one of my clients. He closed a $21,000 deal. Awesome. Congrats. Next, Tim Grover, who wrote Relentless, talks about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan celebrated for about 5 minutes after he won. And then he was like, all right, let's start working on next year. Same with Kobe Bryant. And yeah, listen, they're very happy that they won, I'm sure, inside, but they're not like running themselves like, oh my God, and spraying champagne and for 10 days. No, they get back on track. So you need to be a steady Betty and not ride the emotional roller coaster. Because back to the CPU thing, if you're riding the emotional roller coaster, like, oh my God, we made one sale, and you're like, think that you just became a billionaire, or you get one refund and think that you're going to be bankrupt. Like, you can't do that to yourself because you're just wildly swinging your emotions. And if you're wildly swinging your emotions, your CPU goes up, your usage, right? And you can't actually focus on what matters. And then you start to make unforced errors. So if you're a tennis fan, an unforced error is when, you're rallying with somebody and you think, oh, I'm going to hit this amazing shot down the line and beat them. And you hit it in the net, or you hit it out of bounds, even though you were just rallying and, it wasn't like you had to save yourself. No, it's an unforced error. Now, if they've got you on your heels and like, you're way back and they make a miracle shot, you can just barely get it and then you hit it into the net. That's not an unforced error. That was a forced error. But an unforced error is when you hit it in the net and there really shouldn't have been any reason you hit it into the net. And Roger Federer was amazing at not having unforced errors. One of many reasons that he won so much. But if you're a beginner entrepreneur and you're hitting the panic button and you got a fatalistic failure attitude and you're riding the emotional roller coaster, your brain is full and you cannot make good decisions and you cannot think your way out of things and everything doesn't seem figure outable. And so you start to make bad decisions, which are unforced errors. And unforced errors, man, that is really like death by 1,000 cuts because you already got bad things going on. But if you make a mistake that didn't need to be made, like it's one thing to like say, listen, we've got a calculated risk on this Black Friday sale and we're going to run it. And oh man, it didn't do nearly as well as we thought. And we were really hoping to make 50 grand and we made 20. And, we have all this inventory. Well, you made a calculated risk. If that happens and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, let's just, sell it at an even greater discount and you lose more money when you could have just held on to it for maybe a month and then sold it for Christmas at a better margin. That's an unforced error and it just compounds the pain that you're going through. So don't ride the emotional roller coaster because if you have your CPU at 100, how can you be creative? How can you be figure outable? How can you be creative enough to escape the doom loop that you're in if you're hitting the panic button? So those are huge. The next is the handcuffs of doubt dips. Everyone has doubts. Everyone runs up against this at some point in their life. Even the greats like Roger Federer, probably, late in his career started going, man, can I still play at this level? And a lot of people, when they get into the doubt dip, right, they have a little bit of momentum at first, and then all of a sudden things start to go the other way on them. And it's like, man, I don't believe in myself. And this is where a lot of people quit. It's kind of like the Acres of Diamonds legend, if you've ever heard of that. So Acres of Diamonds goes like this. There's a rich man in the Middle East. I think that's how it starts. Rich man in the Middle East, he lives on this farm and he gets some diamonds or whatever from the ground. And he's like, he's wealthy, but he's like, you know what? There's probably bigger diamonds out there in the world. And so he starts spending his fortune and traveling the world looking for bigger diamonds. And he goes all around the world and he becomes bankrupt and he casts himself into the sea because he's bankrupt and he never found the diamond. So the person who takes over his farm back in the Middle East or wherever it is starts digging on property and finds huge diamonds, acres of diamonds. And the moral of the story is that, I'm not sure exactly what the moral of the story is. It's kind of like, the grass is greener on the other side, but the diamonds are here at home. Just got to dig a little bit more. But it's very similar to, some of the memes you may have seen on Instagram where people stop digging an inch away from gold, right? Or you stop drilling an inch away from oil and you don't hit the oil, you don't find the diamonds, you don't hit the gold. And people give up right before things turn around because they have too much doubt. And that's what the good beginner, he lets doubt beat him. And you cannot let doubt beat you. You have to believe in yourself. But even more important than that, when you don't have belief in yourself, you must co-opt belief. How do you co-opt belief? Well, it's the same way that our mastermind clients co-opt belief and all of our coaching clients. Our coaches believe in you more than you believe in yourself at first. And the reason why is because we see you as you are an intelligent person. We don't just see you as an intelligent person. You are an intelligent person. And we know that you can be successful. You know that if you follow a proven blueprint, like many of our other clients, you will be successful. Because a lot of our other clients are not that smart. They're not geniuses. They're not rocket surgeons. They're not Elon Musk. Some of my friends who are multi-millionaires, multi-millionaires, barely, first of all, some of them didn't even go to college. Some of them barely got through college. Some of them dropped out of college. They're not geniuses, but they persisted. And so when I meet somebody who's intelligent and is willing to be coached, is coachable, as long as they are persistent, they're going to get through the doubt dip and become rich. Handcuff number 5 is that you're consistently inconsistent. Man, consistency is so key. If you run hot and then run cold, I'm going to send an email out every single day to promote my products to my list. And you do that for like 3 weeks. And then, maybe you have a bad week of sales and then you take 3 months off emailing your list. That is what we call consistently inconsistent. Or you go from trying to wake up, you're waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning right now and you say, I'm going to join the 5 a.m. club. And you do that for 3 weeks and then you're exhausted after 3 weeks and you go back and now you're waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's consistently inconsistent. And we don't want to run hot and cold like that. What you need to do is use the perfect week formula to build consistency into your life so that you have your morning routine 6 days a week. And if you can't do 6, do 5. If you can't do 5, do 4, because there's meetings or something in the way. But the more often you get your morning routine, the profit power hour that we've been talking about a lot recently, the more that you're working on money now and money later activities before you get into your reactive daily work and meetings, that's how you're going to move ahead. But if you're inconsistent and you do it once and then take 5 days off and then do it twice and take 7 days off, man, that's inconsistent and you're never going to get the traction that you need. So go back and review the Perfect Week Formula. You can get a free copy at freeperfectweekformula.com or craigballantyne.com/free books. Or you can go and watch the 20-minute YouTube that I made on it. Just go Craig Ballantyne Perfect Week in YouTube, and you'll find a 20-minute breakdown, and it will show you how to be consistent. And when you're consistent with your bedtime, you get to bed on time, you get up on time, you never hit snooze, you get into your profit power hour. Man, if you did nothing else for the rest of the day, if you were inconsistent for the rest of your day, you'd actually be pretty far ahead because you're consistent with the most important thing, which is your profit power hour. Number 6 is the inability to say no. So golden handcuff is saying yes to everything. And when you say yes to everything, you have no time to focus. You have no white space on your calendar. Your CPU is full. And how can you be creative? How can you be figure outable? And how can you get out of doom loops if your CPU is full and no decisions, no good decisions can be made, and all you're doing is making unforced errors? So you have to become the no-pra of your business and say no to everything that does not matter. And that starts with having your vision for your life, the vision for your business, the 1-year blueprint, the 90-day plan that we teach in our program for our entrepreneurs so they know exactly what to do every single day for the next 90 days, including immediately, to get a quick dopamine hit, quick wins that gives them momentum and motivation to go. So if you are suffering from the inability to say no, and you say no all the time and your CPU is full and you don't know what to do next, you really, really need a coach who's going to give you that blueprint to go to the next level. Golden handcuff number 7 is susceptibility to criticism. And I share this book, Thick Face, Black Heart. Thick Face, Black Heart is a book I read, 25 years ago. Man, I'm getting old. 20 years ago. I first heard about it from Matt Fury and Dan Kennedy. And it's a Chinese book translated in English. And it's really about overcoming criticism and not allowing criticism to hold you back, because my heart aches for all the people I know who have either not launched a program, not launched a business, who have held back in their marketing because of the opinions of other people, whether it's strangers on the internet, which is unbelievable, or whether it is family, which is much more believable. But criticism from those people has killed so many dreams, and it breaks my heart if it's killing your dream. So you need to develop a thick face, black heart to criticism, thick skin, because you're going to get it. You're already getting it. No matter what you do in life, you're getting criticized. If you just have a regular job, I worked in a factory when I was 20. All those factory workers, the people they work with are criticizing them. What they wear, what they drive, how they parent, all that sort of stuff, right? They go to soccer at night. People there are criticizing them, criticizing their kids. And that's just for a factory worker. So you're already getting criticized. You're getting criticized by your mom, by your brother-in-law, by your friends. As soon as you leave the room, they're criticizing you. It's happening to you already. And so if you go and live your dreams, sure, you might get more criticism, and you're going to get some from strangers on the internet who will never criticize you to your face. Let me say that again. The strangers on the internet will never criticize you to your face. And even if they do, that still doesn't matter. So if you have a handcuff that you're susceptible to criticism, it's going to hold you back, and you're never going to be able to break through to the next level. Handcuff number 8 is being fearful. I love this acronym. Fear is simply false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Think of all the stories that you're making up. Even our millionaire clients still make up stories. They make up stories about their team members not wanting to do things. They make up stories about their own abilities. They make up stories about what other people are going to think. So they're fearful of criticism that hasn't even happened yet. Man, if we can just get rid of that storytelling in their heads, they can break through and double and triple their businesses, just like you can. So you must get rid of fear. You cannot let that be a golden handcuff holding you back, because fear eats up your CPU. Oh my goodness, does it ever? Because of the storytelling that you're doing on yourself. My goodness, the things have not happened. The things are unlikely to happen. The things are actually have like a minuscule chance of happening, and you cannot let fear hold you down. Another thing that gobbles up so much CPU in some of my clients, not all of my clients, but in the people who this happens to, it gobbles up a lot. A lot of people don't have this, but handcuff number 9 is anger at past mistakes. I could spend 10 hours telling you about all the mistakes I've made. When I was younger, I spent $35,000 on legal fees thinking I was going to franchise my fitness business. I didn't want to. I got sold a faulty bill of goods by somebody who was a slick talking lawyer. Fortunately, I got out of that before I wasted any more money. But I've invested in companies that did not do well. $100,000. I haven't seen penny one back from it. Fortunately, some of my other investments have done okay, but I can't sit here and beat it up, because if I would have taken that $100,000 and put it into Bitcoin in 2012, probably wouldn't be making this podcast. The 100,000 Bitcoin at $70,000, when it peaked, definitely wouldn't be making this podcast. But I put it into something that hasn't paid me a penny back. I'm not angry. It's a good lesson. It's win or learn, not win or lose, right? People always say, man, it's win or lose. I feel like I lost today. No, for us, successful entrepreneurs, you either win or you learn, and you take the lessons and you make sure that you never make the mistake again. So once you learn the lesson, it took me a couple of mistakes to learn the lesson, but now I don't make that same mistake again. Finally, golden handcuff number 10. This applies to both good and great entrepreneurs. Here's my friend Bedros Keuilian and myself, 2015, maybe 2013. We are at our annual Toys for Tots drive in Denver, Colorado. We used to do this every single year. We'd bring 100 entrepreneurs together. We'd go to 3 different Walmarts. We'd fill up 3 trailers full of toys for the Marine Corps' Toys for Tots drive. It's a charity that we could get behind, because we knew that, no one was skimming toys off the top, right? The executives were getting paid small amounts of money. We knew that the toys were going to the kids, and it was going to kids. So we loved donating to it. And it looks like I'm wearing a scarf, but it's actually my receipt for all the toys that I bought. So I think one year I dropped $20,000 in Walmart on toys for kids in this Toys for Tots drive. And Bedros would come and he'd match me. Awesome dude. Love this guy like a brother. Anyways, Bedros for a long time suffered in silence. So he and I ran a coaching program together, and then he had another coaching program with even more members in it. And my goodness, I knew the trials and tribulations and tough stuff that our clients brought us, and I heard about. Now, Bedros had another mastermind where he was the only person hearing the troubles. So he was the only person that could fix them. And he had twice as many people in that group. And so he had all of this stress on his back. I always use the analogy of Michael Clark Duncan from The Green Mile. If you've ever watched the movie The Green Mile, it's a Stephen King novella or whatever. And Michael Clark Duncan was a big African-American gentleman who had this magical ability to take everybody's pain. He would suck in their pain and then he would exhale it. Bedros sucked in everybody's pain, but he didn't have a way to exhale it. And so he suffered in silence. And he had an anxiety attack similar to mine, thought he was having a heart attack, went to the emergency room, all that sort of stuff, because he suffered in silence. I suffered in silence before I had my anxiety attack. And so if you are suffering in silence and you're living on Lonely Entrepreneur Island and you have nobody to talk to, nobody understands you, all your family have real, corporate jobs, or, my family is all truck drivers. All my uncles, all truck drivers. So how could I go and talk entrepreneurship with all my uncles? Couldn't. My sister had a high-paying corporate job. She didn't understand. Like for Target, huge company. There's not really entrepreneurship in that. So how could I go and say, oh, I want to complain about business? She wouldn't understand. So I didn't have anybody on the family side to talk about entrepreneurship. And you probably don't either. And then your friends, all my friends are either teachers. When I started out, they were almost exclusively teachers, because I did kinesiology in university. So they were either personal trainers or teachers. And all my other friends who weren't in kinesiology were teachers, or they still worked in a factory. And my best friend was an X-ray tech, but he doesn't understand entrepreneurship either. So, we lived together for a long time in Toronto. He was my roommate, and he would come home and have a nap before he had a nap. So he had very unhealthy eating habits, and he would come home from work and have a nap. He would call it the pre-nap. He would have a nap, then he would have another nap, and then he would have dinner, and then he would watch TV, and then he would go to sleep. He drank 2 liters of Coca-Cola. Now he's actually healthier than I am, because, he just watched me. But anyways, long story short, I didn't have anyone to talk to. Bedros didn't have anyone to talk to. Or Bedros did. He had me, but he suffered in silence. And I don't want you to suffer in silence. I don't want you to be on Lonely Entrepreneur Island. If you are on Lonely Entrepreneur Island and you're holding all of this stuff inside, the most important thing you can do is get to one of our mastermind events, because you're going to be around people who have the same problems, who have gone through the same things, who are a little bit further ahead of you, and who can tell you exactly what resources and people you need to get out of the problems that you're in. But only if you're willing to stop suffering in silence. Because if you're not willing to stop suffering in silence, no one can help you. So you just have to set the ego aside and ask for help. Because if you don't, then you get in a doom loop. And when you get into doom loop, everything is bad. And when you get in a doom loop where everything is bad, you start behaving poorly. You start acting out. So you start staying up late, maybe drinking or watching TV too long. Then you get up in the morning, you hit the snooze button, so you stay in bed longer. And then that just knocks down negative dominoes, because you get up late, you're rushing around, you're drinking too much caffeine, you're eating sugar, you're getting into traffic because you left the house late. Now you're getting to the office late, you're cranky at your team. You got no way to get out of the doom loop. And you got to get out of the doom loop because it's eating up your CPU. Because when you go through and you rid yourself of these handcuffs mostly by being around people who can lift you up to the next level, you can bring that CPU usage down and you can start to be creative and you can get figure outable. You can have white space on your calendar and white space on your brain, again, to make better decisions. So what got you here won't get you there. I said there's going to be 2 life-changing quotes. And the first one is, what got you here won't get you there. What got you to this level of your business won't get you to the next level. What got you here got you those golden handcuffs. And if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to stay in the golden handcuffs. You keep getting thrown in jail, and you probably get thrown in higher levels of jail. So what got you here won't get you there. You have to start doing things different. And quote number 2 that's going to change your life is, to get something you've never had, you must do some things you've never done. To get something you've never had, you must do some things you've never done. And again, if you got the golden handcuffs on, you're stuck at maybe $250,000, $500,000 a year, and you want to get to $1 million or multi-millions, or if you're $1 million, you want to get 10 million. Well, what got you to 1 million is not getting you to 10. And so to get something you've never had, which is 10 million, you must do things you've never done. My client Boris hired me when he was stuck at $3 million for years and years and years. And within 12 months, he hit 10 million because I helped him do things he had never done. So your objective is to achieve escape velocity from the doom loop, achieve escape velocity from the golden handcuffs. And escape velocity is the speed that you build up. Scientifically, it's the speed required to escape the Earth's gravity. And that's, it's needed for rockets to go to the moon and to Mars eventually. And you need escape velocity to get out of the doom loops that are holding you down at, 500,000, 100,000, $1 million, whatever you're stuck at right now. Now, how do you get the escape velocity? It's almost always people. I have a phrase: everything in life is easier when you know more good people. It's how I made most of the money in my life, and it's how I met my wife. I asked for help from other people. So if you want to go from good to great to unstoppable, you have to set aside your ego and ask for help. When I was still single at 40 something and I wanted to be married with kids, I set aside my ego and I begged for help from friends, and I got introductions. And now I got 3 kids under the age of 3, an amazing wife, an amazing life, because I set aside my ego and I asked for help. I did something I'd never done, because what got me to that position is not going to get me to the next position. I had to do something different. And so do you. So if you want to go from escape velocity, from being that lost warrior, to having clarity, structure, and discipline, having all of them so that you can put your heavy work ethic into a clear path, then that's what you need to do. I like to say that climbing Mount Everest is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You don't have to invent a new way up Mount Everest. There's the path. It's marked by all the people that died, because it's very difficult and crazy. But it's the same path that every single person who climbs Mount Everest takes. Every single person takes that path. In fact, there's so many people taking the path now, like it's crowded. But it's clear that's how you get up Mount Everest. That's how you climb the highest mountain in the world, not by inventing a new way. So it's simple. Just take the same path. It's just not easy. But success is also simple in business. It's just not easy. And it all starts with getting clarity, so that then you can put your efforts in the right direction. It all starts with saying no. It starts with stop being a panic button pusher. It starts with removing those golden handcuffs so you can free yourself up. You get rid of that CPU at 100% so you can actually be creative and make better decisions, because everything is figure outable. So to go from good to great to unstoppable as an entrepreneur, from million, 10 million plus, clarity. You need clarity. You need a vivid vision for your business. You need a 3-year vision, a 1-year blueprint, a 90-day plan, and exactly what to do immediately, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, 7 days from now. When we have these benchmarks, you get fast wins, you get momentum and motivation. You need the mindset. You need the belief from your coaches, you need the belief in yourself, and you need the mindset that we can give you to go to the next level. You need discipline and structure, absolutely. But when you have a strong vision, being disciplined is easy. When you know that you're doing this for your family, to give them generational wealth, to give your kids the best life possible, you'll get up every single day without hitting snooze. All you have to do is tap into that, and discipline is simple and easy. Effortless, we call it. You need a 90-day blueprint, which I've talked about, and you need consistent accountability from your coach to hold you on track. And it's great when you have accountability to somebody you deeply do not want to disappoint, as Bedros had to me and I had to him, and that's why we were able to change our lives together. So when you have those things, you go from good, where you are right now, you shed those handcuffs, you go to great, you stop suffering in silence, and you go to unstoppable. You get clarity, discipline, and structure. And that is all you need. It's simple, it's not easy, but you can do it. So I just want to leave this and end with this, my friend. Our next event is in California. Our last event was in Miami, September 11th, 13th. Absolutely awesome. And our next one is January 9th and 10th, 2025 in Irvine, California. And we're going to have 50 entrepreneurs, 7, 8, 9 figures, who are going to help lift you up and What got you here won't get you there. If you want something you've never had, you got to do things you've never done. And going to the mastermind is going to be that thing. So comment mastermind down below and we'll send you more information. Our next event after that is in May of 2025 and then September 2025. We do 3 events per year and we'd love to see you at one because I want to see you go from good to great to unstoppable, get rich, and give your family the wealth they deserve. This is Craig Ballantyne from Early to Rise Radio. Make sure you hit me up at craig@craigballantyne.com or on Instagram at @realcraigballantyne. And we look forward to seeing you at one of our events where you're going to go from good to great to unstoppable.